Welcome to another episode of Right for Tech. Today, I'm excited to be joined by the multi-talented guest, Idris Olubisi. Idris is not only a skilled software engineer, technical writer, and developer advocate, but also a public speaker who is deeply passionate about open source, blockchain, and educating the developer community. His articles have been featured on Free Code Camp and other publications in the software engineering world. However, his impact does go beyond writing and coding alone. He actively inspires Web3 builders through his community, Web3 Africa, with a K, if I'm correct, which is a
Yeah, correct.
testament to his dedication and influence in the industry. Idris, thanks for joining me today or joining us today. Um, do tell me a bit of a background outside what I've just been saying lately.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for that wonderful intro also. And also the fact that you mentioned like Web3 Africa and the later emphasis on K. So yeah, guys, my name is Idris, like you mentioned. I've been into the software engineering space for about 5 years now. I've been doing development, developer relations work, community work, developer support, content creation, mostly written content. And then I've
Interesting.
also been, volunteering for, yeah, for a couple of, activities, roles, leadership, mostly community driven activity. And then beyond that, also, I make sure that I have like close connection and impact with, the developer ecosystem. So not the type that does, just community, but also building himself. So yeah, I see myself like doing all of these things each and every time I'm putting something out there. So yeah, I also give talks, both local and international, and I'm really excited to be here to discuss all things technical writing and even beyond. Yeah, thank
Oh,
you for having me, Light.
thank you. See why I said multi-talented, right? Okay, so what first attracted you to the field of technical writing?
Yeah, that's a very good question, to be honest. I think I'll just quickly talk through like the background story. Technical writing, I started because I was seeing content. So when I started my career as a backend developer, I was working with Microsoft SharePoint solutions. If any of you are familiar with that, and then it's a custom solution for like you can customize it for building enterprise solution, right? So at the point when I ran into errors, issues, I do see articles from 2006, 2007 solving my problem. And that is because like it's kind of ASP.NET related. And if you're all familiar with that, ASP.NET is like pretty old. So I found articles like that that helped me as at this is around 2019. So yeah, early 2019, and those contents are kind of very helpful. Then at some point I'm like, okay, if this person could create content and as at 2019 I'm still finding it very helpful, maybe someday I'll be able to create content that people would leverage on in the long run, or like could help them fix one problem or the other. But I didn't start, yeah, because of procrastination thing, right? I don't even know what to write. And then but then
Yeah.
over time, as I began to see like the development ecosystem, the JavaScript ecosystem, I see the likes of Bolaji, Ayodeji, see the likes of Shedrack, Prosper Otemuyiwa. They create content and they
Mhm.
share. Then I kind of gingered up a little bit and then created my blog. And because it's free, I
Nice.
just created the blog and then left it there. I created the dev.to blog. And then finally I was able to go back. I think what really triggered that, mindset to create the content was when I changed my PC. Then when I changed my PC, I now Googled setting up development environment as a developer. I couldn't find relevant content, but at least I could find something that tell me, hey, install Visual Studio Code, install
Yeah.
Node.js.
Yeah.
As at then, so I was doing, I checked through and then I saw all of this. And I'd be like, oh, I think this is a good opportunity for me to start something, at least write something. So when I was able to
Yeah.
install, set up
Yeah.
my stuff and then start coding, I now published my very first blog saying setting your development environment as a developer. So that's my first blog. That's how I like break the entire procrastination chain that took forever. And then After that, I wanted to create something else. That was when GitHub Magic was introduced, where you can create you just need to create a repository with your username, and then you have a very
Yeah.
beautiful README about yourself. I see that's another opportunity, even though I've seen content from people already showing people how to create it, right? But I still go ahead and then just create it. I was just trying to nurture that habit of me creating content. And then that's how I started. In fact, when I started, I didn't know like they do pay technical writers. I thought they just script and then move on. But during this process, that's how everything started. And then over time, I start to think about what I want to write, how can I write it, or how I need to start writing more consistently and then writing technical stuff because both content I've written, they were not really technical. They just simple guides to tell people things. So that's how everything started anyways.
But you've written more technical stuff, more technical related articles.
Yeah, I've written a lot. And then technical, like I'm a big fan of technical. Like I don't like story articles. You won't see me writing content on a day in the life of nah. This is not to like, you know, shame anyone or like, you know, um like get to anybody creating those type of content, but it's not just my thing. I prefer it technical building something and then talking about that particular thing. So for me, I've invested all my time, everything to technical content like how to's, guides, and things around technicalities, and then breaking complex topics into something that you can quickly grasp.
Okay, so about that, can you walk us through your technical writing process? How is that for you?
Oh yeah, that's a tricky one because I know everyone has like their process, right? There are different process of how you want to do it. But for me personally, at the
Yeah.
beginning, when I started creating content, I happened to, I after creating like two, three content, I submitted a writing request to Free Code Camp. Luckily for me, I was accepted into the program, and that really shaped the entire thing for me. That really like helped me a lot, and I will forever be grateful to the Free Code Camp editorial team because they made it clear that hey, this is our style guide, these are some best practices and all of that. So that way I was able to come up with a pattern that I can use to create content. But then after creating like two, three, four content for them, I got an opportunity to start writing paid content for section engineering. And
Mm,
that also helped
interesting.
me because now they are paying you to write. So they give you feedback, they tell you, no, this is what you need to do. So I compared both of them and my small knowledge about um, writing uh, previously, like before, getting into those writing programs. I kind of
Yeah.
create a pattern for me, for myself, where one thing I do first is to know what I want to write about, try to build that technical, that project itself. Once I am able to build that demo project, then now, and everything is working, I can be able to teach you how to build that project by writing a content that will go through the entire guide again and then take you through the process of understanding what you need to know and how you need to do it. So for me, it's starting from the demo. Once I get the title, get the demo, and then in my content, I'm not the type of person that writes content in chunks where you write today, you come back tomorrow, write the day
Yeah.
after. Once I sit down to write content, I finish it up. The next day I'm coming back to that content, I'm coming to come and proofread and then check the structure. I'm not coming to write again. Or the worst case scenario is I'm coming to add conclusion and maybe intro or something like that. So I start from that, and then that's how I create my own content. And of course, following the pattern that I've built over time, like what the topic looks like, what the intro should look like. Is this article focused on beginners? Is it intermediate content? How do I want to
Hmm.
communicate? Am I going to assume some of these things? So audience is also one big thing for me. So after defining the title, even from the title, I need to be able to tell that this should be like beginner focus. Then if it is, I write like prerequisites. If it's for beginners, then I know that I need to like do two times like work that I need to do for just
Mm-hmm.
one content, because now I need to explain some of these things even better and also
Yeah.
add hyperlinks. But for intermediate content, I know that, okay, yes, I can tell you this is the prerequisite. This is what you should know before you follow through this content. And that way you can really quickly get up to speed. And as an intermediate, I'm already assuming that you have some knowledge before you go through the content. Then after defining all of that, then I start with my content, the body of the content, the breakdown, the headings, the subheading, the action points. And also I'm really concerned about semantics in content, like how you make sure that your heading flows, and also how you like how your paragraph translates to each other, so that there isn't any disconnect between what the reader is reading from the beginning and then in between and then at the end of the content. Then after that, I put in my conclusion to summarize everything we've done so far. And then I always like to add a reference or like resources section where you check
Mm-hmm.
out some of the resources I've used in the content. So in case you want to learn more or you just want to see what this thing looks like on the documentation.
Interesting.
How that answers your
That
question? That's quite a lot.
means yes, yes, it does. So that means
Yeah.
even when I want to document my process, I do need to have some form of guide to like make sure that my content is also consistent and all that. That's
hmm
interesting.
Yeah,
So
that's
for
correct. In fact, I mostly use my yeah, sorry to cut you there. I use my previous content quite a lot. Because for example, if I get a feedback while I was starting out, I usually get like feedbacks from people.
yeah.
So once I get a feedback, just take note of that feedback, fix the content, and then make sure that the next article I don't repeat the same mistake. So that way, I already have a solid article then that I can build on. But then if you because I work with different publication has their own style guide, which also helps me like understand from different people. This person likes their content very long. They don't care. They don't care if it is 20, 30 minutes read. They don't mind. And then some prefer 1,500 words. It should not be more than that. So all of those things are something that I've learned from over time. And then I can, depending on the requirements, I can come up with something that will fit in. So it's not like one size fits all, but it's something that we can always work around and then perfect over time. So this is what my process look, and I leverage that kind of leveraging my previous content to make sure that I have this consistent pattern and something that whenever I see the content, I know no, this is my content. So no matter how you try to change things, because I know I have patterns that I've built over time.
Wow. That's interesting. I think I will need to learn from that. I don't even know if I have my own pattern, but I should find one for myself. Okay, so for
You actually
someone,
have. Until you
hmm,
want to
maybe
explain,
I
then
do.
you
So
realize you
I need
have.
to
Yeah.
identify my pattern. Okay, so for someone with no prior experience who's aspiring to be a technical writer, what would you say is should I say the fundamental skill that they need to acquire?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, that it's not one size fits all, right? So um first I would always recommend, if you want to like, the best way to start writing is to write, or the best way to become a technical writer is to start writing, right? But then I would always recommend this Google technical writing course. This is something somebody recommended for me at the beginning of my technical writing, blah, blah, blah. And then that really helps me a lot, at least to understand the fundamentals of writing, how you communicate effectively, what are some do's and don'ts. And then if you follow that and then try to use that when you are creating your content as a beginner, you will really move faster because you will understand what are the things that you should not miss, what are the things you should focus on. So I'll always recommend Google Technical Writing course, and it's free. So it's free. So you can access it anytime, any day. And it's like a self-paced course. You can access it and I can't remember if they give certification at the end of that course. I can't remember, but it's something you can do end to end. That's number one. And
Mm,
then number two is the more you write, the more you understand how to write. So it's not anybody that you're seeing now that you like their content is structured, they're senior, they're pro, they started somewhere, right? What you might just want to do is that some of the things that you're doing right now, create a free blog. You can create an national blog, a Medium blog, or dev.co. Create any of these blogs, right? They are free. And then you start writing your own blog. Forget about paid content right now. Because paid content comes with their own pattern, restriction, and all of that. And if you're not fit enough, they won't even give you the job in the first place. And if they
yeah,
eventually give you the
yeah.
job and you did not match up, they will fire you at some point. So
Deliver.
that's why you just need to
Obviously.
create, yeah, you just need to create your own content first. Start creating your own content. Do peer reviews. Like when you do peer reviews, see the review they gave you and then implement it in the existing one. Then going forward, improve on it. Make sure you take those feedback in and then use it to implement the next one. So that way you'll be learning over time and then you'll be using you use your articles personally as a reference point when you are creating any content in the future. So that way, and I know one mistake here that people make when you give them when they share you content to review and then you give them a review. The next time they are creating content, they won't put all of those things into practice. Then they will come back again and looking at their content again, you can tell that, oh my God, I think I told you this should not be this way and this should not be that way. That's really tiring.
Yeah, I get.
Um, so in case you have like people that help you peer review, please remember that nobody has like that time. They can just get to review.
Mm,
So if they get to review your content, make sure you note those feedback, implement it in the content they gave feedback on, and then subsequent content, you should make sure that you follow up, you implement those changes and you don't make the same mistakes. So that's like one thing I want to call out there. Yeah, and just like what I mentioned, like the best way to start writing to become a technical writer is to start writing. Don't procrastinate again. You see what when I was sharing my story, like what helped me start, at least publish something. It wasn't technical at first, right? So even if it is something that you think you might find useful or something that you were Googling on your own and you find content, but you can still just go ahead and create your own because your own is yours, like it's quite different. And you never can tell who would find your content useful than the other ones that are online. So you just never can tell. So that's one thing I would give again, like in addition to the
mm.
points I mentioned earlier.
Okay, man. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. There is one thing you did mention. So, that was even going to be my next question. You mentioned that they do need to, like, if they want to learn, or how you got started with learning about technical writing was the free course from Google. But do you have any other resources that they can learn from, or any other learning resources that you can just share or reference?
Yeah, so this is a bit tricky, right? Because you might see any technical writing boot camp and stuff like that. But for me, I didn't go to like boot camps and like paid course or something. I used Google and then I build up on what I currently have. Another big thing I forgot to mention is which can also help you is community, joining community, right? Joining community does not directly mean it will help you in technical writing, but it means that you are most likely going to get reviews from people that actually write every time. Sometimes when you get review from other people, it's also fine, but it's really great when you get review from like community, technical writing communities. So when you join them, when you create content, you post it there, they see your content. If they have a channel dedicated to feedback and reviews, you post it there, they give you feedback, and you take all of this feedback in, which would help you as a technical writer. So joining community is one of the biggest things. Also, and another thing is when you join the community and people post content, I don't know, maybe you might feel overwhelmed, but then that should give you some sort of reminder that yes, don't forget to create content. Like keep creating content. Like it should inspire you at some point that yes, you need to continue creating content. But if you're doing it all on your own, you are not part of any technical writing community, you might be tired at some point and you feel like nobody's checking my content. I'm having 2 likes on Twitter when I post this. I'm having just one reaction on LinkedIn. Nobody's checking it out. My views is low and all of those. So those things are normal. Like they are quite normal. But then over time, when Google rank your blog, your stuff will start showing. That's why you should not plagiarize for any reason. Make sure that you have your own genuine content and like fresh content out there. So whenever Google SEO
Yeah.
ranks your content, it will not flag it as a
Yeah.
plagiarized content, and it's going to rank it and then push it to everybody that is starting something related to that
So,
topic.
well, so a quick reminder, that means please do not get pressured by the numbers or by the amount of views. Just keep writing your content and keep doing what you're doing. You can get better at it. You can also even work on your wordings, but like he says, start writing. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah,
Um, let's talk about a new movement, right? A new technology everybody is like implementing these days in everything, and that is AI.
yeah,
We can't run away from that topic, and that topic is something
yeah.
that is the future, and is now. It's already something we are using. So, um, I think I will start with what are the effective ways, right, to utilize these AI tools for technical writing or for technical writers in general? What are the best ways for technical writers to utilize AI?
Yeah, to be honest, I love this question because I think I was debating this with somebody. Maybe not really a debate, just a discussion around like how AI is going to replace humans and all of that. So, but the fact
But
is
that's
that
another question I
AI,
was going to ask.
yeah,
So quick one
yeah, but the fact, yeah,
before you answer that, do you think that AI is going to replace technical writers? Before you answer the tools,
yeah,
do you think they are going to actually replace technical writers in the future?
yes, but
You
there's a
think they
but,
will?
right?
Okay.
Yes, they will
Okay.
replace beginner technical writers, and then um, the thing there is that the next 2 3 years, you won't be seeing like technical writing roles like beginners. Like you have to be intermediate or like almost senior technical writer because the
Yeah.
conversation will shift
Yeah.
away from, there are some lapses that we've seen that the current AI system is not doing, right? The people
Mm,
building those LLMs, like those models, they are also getting those feedback.
yes.
So it's something that could be improved on, and you'll be shocked that
Yeah.
over time, all of this feedback are, incorporated, and then they start humanizing the type of content that comes out of the AI, right? So, for example, I saw an app briefly. I don't know
Mm,
if it's on Twitter or on LinkedIn. Somebody built something. It's a product that says how to, like, a product that help you humanize AI content. It just says paste in your AI content and then you see the results. In my head, I did not check like what the product is, but it's not open source, sure, but then I don't know what they're using under the hood. But
okay.
I'm already thinking that it's also maybe an AI they are also using. But then the way they are doing it, they have
Yeah.
some data sets that could humanize the content even better,
Yeah.
right? So, which is to
Huh.
tell you that all of this feedback, this humanization or like the tone, everything that we are complaining about right now, chat GPTs or like AI saying in the landscape of groundbreaking of something, all of these things that we that we laugh at right now, because it's AI,
Yeah.
they are all AI generated stuff. Don't worry, over time, those models will learn. They will even continue to supply them more data to understand how to humanize them even better. And we've already seen some steps with like some premium features from ChatGPT and all of that. That gradually it's reducing the kind of mention on groundbreaking, all of those things, reducing it over time. So which should tell
Yeah.
you that
It
it's
is.
going to kick out some people that refuse to level up in their skill sets. And also there's part where you could also leverage AI to as a technical writer. So but then that should answer your question before I go back to how to effectively use AI.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
I know we are all familiar with
So
Grammarly. Before ChatGPT
yeah.
became a thing, right? Grammarly have been like
Yeah.
there. If you have the funds, you can
At the
pay
forefront
premium.
of
But then yeah,
yes.
exactly. So, but then if you check what they're also using AI. But then in this case, they're just helping you like to paraphrase, fix typos, grammars, and all
Yeah.
of that.
Correct.
hmm So
Yeah.
that's an AI
Yes.
tool that, it's contributing to the technical writing space. Um, ChatGPT is also there, but then is ChatGPT is not there to generate content for you and then you just go and dump it, right? So there are so many effective ways that you can use. In fact, you can use ChatGPT to, if you want to build a demo or you have an article title that says how to build maybe a music streaming platform with Next.js, right? You can tell ChatGPT to give you, you can paste that particular thing on ChatGPT and then tell it is going to generate a demo for you on how to do it. And that could just give you insights of how differently you could do it, even though you have a way of doing it on your own, right? So that's one way for you to learn from ChatGPT when it comes to like technical stuff. So not directly AI, like not directly technical content rather. So that's one way. Another one is if you using it effectively is maybe there's a particular concept you're trying to understand, like you're writing a fundamental content, maybe a content treating something for beginner levels, and then you yourself you want to understand that thing and how best you could explain it. Maybe something, this is a prompt that you can give to ChatGPT and then it's going to explain that concept. Like ChatGPT is very, very good, or all these AI tools, they are very, very good when it comes to like mathematics or like some kind of algorithmic, questions or like programming language question, because this programming language has been feed into them so they can tell these mathematical problems. They can do all of those things even better or like explain how those things work. So sometimes we
Yeah.
just learn them one off and then move on. But if you really want to get nitty gritty on maybe how caching system works in Node.js, how WebSockets works, these are things that you might have learned before, but if you want to know nitty gritty, you're most likely going to find like nitty gritty on, ChatGPT. Or if you are learning a new programming language, you probably, find some of these tips and tricks that you can use. So that way, when you are creating your content, it could help you. So these are ways that you can effectively, apart from like paraphrasing, grammar fix, and all of that, that you can effectively use AI tools as a technical writer to upskill. So, but then what gives you one head ahead of your peer is that if you are the type that know how to use the tool, but you don't rely on the tool, you are going to be in control in the nearest future, right? But don't say because we are saying like AI is not perfect, it's blah blah blah, and you decide to run away from it, right? Don't do that. Don't be that kind of person because over time there are people that knows how to use the tool even better plus what they already
Mm.
have in mind. So the end goal is for you to create something amazing, create a good content that everybody can easily understand. So that's the goal. So anything that can make you achieve that goal is what you should be after, but not plagiarizing or like
Mm.
not saying you don't want to use the tool at all.
So, in general, your answer for the replacing combined with this one is like um always be up to date with the latest technology, right? I mean, I don't know if it can be faster than the amount of information they put into an AI, but at least keep up so that they don't take your job
Yeah.
generally. And also don't rely heavily on it. Also, like let it be like an a tool for you to use so that you also
Yeah.
can keep your skill to yourself and not fully rely on that. But in the case where an AI is generating content, right? How do you
Mhm.
ensure, or how can technical writers ensure that this content is accurate, right? How do they ensure the accuracy and the quality of the content itself that is being generated by this AI when we use them?
Yeah, which is why I mentioned earlier on that you should not rely on them. You see, you have to always do your own research. Even though you have the AI tool tab open, for the longest time, make sure you have Google. Like, make sure you Google things. Make sure you confirm information, please. That's very important because I'm saying AI solves like the basic stuff. Does not mean that when you start giving it, more and more stuff, you are sure that this code is, accurate. Please make your own, like, do your own research. Make sure you confirm on Google. Make sure you check the documentation of that particular tool because that's the place you can find the most updated detailed about that particular API or SDK or anything that you're
Mm.
using. So do your own research. Don't, rely on internet. Just assume everything is giving you is correct. Please just do your own research.
Mm,
If there are complex things that you want it to do, give it to it and see and try to see if you can do it on your own and get the same result. If yes, then you're good to go. If no, try to see maybe you are doing something wrong that you can learn from what the AI implemented. But sometimes, AI will just do it based on what he or she thinks. Sorry, I'm using he or she. That's wrong. Yeah, AI will just do it based off what it's thinking or like it wants generally. But you as a human, like you can tell that no, this is not the outcome of this content that you're looking at, or this is not the end goal, this is not the end goal, this is not the result you're expecting. So you can go back and update things, change things, tell it again that no, this is not what I'm expecting. This is what I'm expecting. Can you give me more information about it? It doesn't mean that you should like just copy and paste anything from what AI is giving you. In fact, don't even do
okay.
copy and paste and
Interesting.
rephrase. Some people would some people would generate content with AI and then they think they are smart enough to just copy and then change words. No. It's always good to see what AI gives you or like explain about a particular concept. Try to digest it and then draft it in your own term, like in your own way of thinking, right? That is what makes you unique and that's what makes you human. That way you never can tell who will be able to relate with what you do, your thinking process, like the way you're able to think through all of these things before explaining it. So that could be your own, gift. That's definitely your own gift because it's unique to you. So that way you are proud of yourself that you wrote this content, put in all the effort, other than just copy and pasting from, LLMs or like GPT, what GPT gives you.
Okay, so to add to that, since you advise we shouldn't rely heavily on AI or the content that AI gives us, we should also like put more of ourselves in it. Would you say that there are limitations to AI for technical writers? And if there are, like what do you think those limitations are?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like limitation per se, because at the end of the day, you realize that the AI tools that we have right now is still work in progress, right? So you might be complaining about um the way they communicate, like the way they process things, the way they try to explain things, like they are not really giving you that human feeling and then that way of concisely talking about something in a way that it flows like, yeah, this is a proper technical, right? Technical content, right? But then all of these things are work in progress. Something that at the end of the day, in the next few years, it will be like, if not fixed, then really, really improved over time. Right. So I wouldn't
Yeah.
say limitation per se, but then it's still work in progress. So it's something that can be improved on.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. I think I'll have just one last question to add to that. What tool do you use
Mm-hmm.
for your technical content or technical writing? What tool will you recommend for anyone either starting out or intermediate? What would you say is their go-to tool or your best tool so far that you've used?
Yeah, yeah. So I think just keeping things simple, no pressure. So if you have like Grammarly, you can use Grammarly, you can use the free version. If you have money, you can use the paid version, but I would advise just go with the free from start. If you want to fix like grammars and stuff like that, maybe you can copy like a paragraph and tell ChatGPT to fix grammar for you, but not rewrite. Make sure that you emphasize that you should not rewrite the content. It should just fix grammar for you or like tell you like grammar that could be improved on. So it doesn't mean that you copy and paste. You can even look at the end results of what the any of this AI tool gives you, and then you use it to improve what you have. Right. So learning from it. So I use Grammarly for drafting my content. I mostly use Ashnote to draft or Notion. Right. I use Ashnote draft a lot because it gives me this flexibility of what you see is what you get and also markdown. So it has like both feature that I can leverage on. I also use Notion Yeah, I mostly use Notion for like company's content and all of that. I also use Dropbox. Yeah, Dropbox is something I've been using way back. Still use Dropbox. So depending on the type of content or like who am I creating the content for. I mean, when I mean who, yeah, I'm not talking about the readers. I'm talking about the company or the client I'm writing for. What again do I use? I think those are the biggest one. Then I use any of these tools too. Sometimes just to ask questions, just to understand a design in a particular programming language, what is happening under the hood, all of these things that normally I just needed something to explain even better, even though I can find some of them on the docs. But then I could also tell it to give me like real world analogies on where those things are useful, and it could come up with at least something. Maybe not everything will be reasonable, but something really good I can learn from too. Yeah. So, but then for cover image, I keep it simple. Either I'm using Canva to design my own, or I just use Unsplash, any of these free Unsplash image, and then just put it there. What again? So for sketch, I use Sketch. There's so many sketching tools. You can just Google like sketching tools online. You see so many of them that you can
Mm-hmm.
use to sketch. So sometimes within your like in between your content, you have like explanation. You want to have like a sketch that could graphically explain this and this and this and how this connects, because that is the fastest
Yeah,
way to like quickly tell anybody reading content that, yeah, this is how they connect, this is the moving part,
yeah,
this is what is here, this is what is here. It might look too simple for you or like that's stupid for you to add, but trust me, it's very important because people that are reading, they might be first timer, they don't understand anything. They're just seeing your product for the first time, they're just seeing your content for the first time. They will just go through on their own and they understand from the first try. What other content? What other tools? I think those are the ones that I know. Every other ones are just like one off, right? But the ones I use regularly, these are the ones I've mentioned.
mm, okay. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. I would like to thank you once again for joining me on this. I know it's
Yeah,
quite
you're
short
welcome.
notice technically, but
Yeah, yeah.
um, would you have anything you would like to say to the listeners who is starting out in their technical writing journey?
Yeah, thank you all for joining. Thank you all for listening whenever you're listening to this. One big thing I would like to say is, or like a word I would like to leave with you guys is, there's no any shortcuts. The better way to get good as a technical writer is for you to continue writing. And then one thing is, if you don't want to run out of topics, try to write about what you are currently learning. So that way you have something to write about and you never run out of topics. Or pick any of the old concepts or like something you've worked on a long time ago. Pick it up, do a refresher, and then write about it. Don't care if there are millions of content already online. Your content might stand out, maybe the way you explain this particular concept or the flow on, and at the same time, it's helping you to learn twice. So for every technical writer, any concept you're writing about, it helps you to learn twice about that concept, because now you've learned it, you want to teach it, and you want to be sure that you're teaching the right thing. You make more research, understand it, and then teach it. Right. So it helps you learn twice and become a better developer, maybe front end, back end, cloud, or whatever in the development space. Um, yeah, so another one I also want to quickly talk about is, if you go to articleideagenerator.com, this is a tool that I built, and then it's pretty much useful for those that are struggling to come up with article ideas that they want to write about. The cool part about the tool is that you can just paste in the idea you're
Wow.
thinking of or one thing you're thinking of. So maybe you're thinking about um, catching in JavaScript, or like you're thinking about let me see. Okay, how to use bonds, or like bonds. You want to write something around bonds. You just learnt bonds, and then you don't know how to come up with a topic. You need a topic idea. You need a topic title, and you need abstract. Yeah,
Yeah,
we just added the feature for abstract that could give you an
it's
abstract of
very interesting.
um, that particular title. Yeah, so that's a very good tool. It's actually built for the purpose of all of these things, because I've received like a lot of complaints or like queries about I am a developer, but I don't know what to write. I don't know how to even come up with a topic. So this is a tool that
Mm.
you can leverage. And it has been used and viewed by over 20,000 people, according to statistics from Vercel.
Wow.
And it was launched,
Wow.
I think,
That's a
last year.
big
So
one.
you can check it out.
That's a big
Yeah,
one.
you can check it
We
out
should be adding
and then see.
we should be adding another you should be adding an AI guru or a prompt engineer to your list of talents.
Yeah. Yeah, like so, like this is a very useful. In fact, I use it myself for just for you to know how good it is. And the fact is that it also have SEO enable feature. So in case it generates a title for you and you want to
Wow.
be sure that it's SEO enable. So what do I mean by SEO enable? Like something that if you end up publishing, it's most likely going to come up in the Google search results over time, like
Such
over
an
time. So it's going to
yes,
suggest like
such results, yeah.
the way you should construct that same topic, yeah, in a better way. So search engine
Mm.
optimization is like big deal because you, of course, you are creating content not just for only you, but for everyone in the world, and you want everybody to be able to search and then your content to come up because you don't want to give everybody URLs. Like you don't know everybody in the world, right? But then the
Yeah,
fastest way is to have a
exactly.
content that rank, and then the first step of ranking is having a good title that the system could crop, and then you can, keep building with that. So check the tool out. It's also an open source project, so feel free if you find like anything that you want to improve on, please, it's just there. Just test it out, send the PR. Most of the things there, in fact, when you check the GitHub repo, you see that there are contributions from like different people. So it's not something I started it, but then a lot of contribution have improved it to where we are today. And the most recent one that is the abstract feature, it was also a PR sent by somebody, right? So it's open to anybody that is also willing to practice like open source contribution also. So yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Yeah, yeah,
I would,
welcome.
if there's even a way to provide a link on the podcast, I will. If there's a way to do that, I think I can put it in the caption somewhere. I'll find a way to put that
Yeah, that would
in
be
there.
really
But
great.
thank you
Yeah.
very much for sharing that with us. Thank you. Thank you, fellow
Thank you for
audience,
having me.
for still sticking. If you've listened to if you've listened to this episode at this point, this is like 42 minutes. We're almost very close to 45 minutes. So if you really listen to it towards the end, man, you're a rock star. And thank you for joining this episode again on Ride for Tech. I will see you on the next one. Peace.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me. Bye for now.